Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to episode 26 of Sitting Courtside. Like always, my
Woo.
name is Dante.
It's your boy Jerry D, of course.
And at this point, episode 26, we have this thing where we say like, "Oh, it's this NBA player's episode ever." We're at like a weird like number, like phase of numbers. So at this point, we're
Yeah.
leaving it up to you guys. You put in the comments who is this episode, like who's it reminds you of, who's 26, first 26 come to your mind. This is up to you guys at this point because
Even if
there
it's
I
a
just
football
looked
player, shoot your
I
shot.
just looked
Whatever.
up number 26's Jerry, and like I think the best guy we have is Kyle Korver. So you guys can get creative in the
Hey,
comments and
that's
tell us,
one of
hey,
the greatest
shout out to
tweeters
Kyle
ever.
Korver, former All Star right there, former All
Yes,
Star.
sir.
But
Wow.
we're back. Yeah, don't. Hey, that did happen as an Atlanta Hawk. Don't forget that team, 4 All-Stars. But we are here going over the trade deadline, recapping all the trades that went on. Not all of them, but probably the biggest ones. Have a few other topics about some teams that are hot right now, some players that are just doing things that we haven't seen in 30, 40 years that we will definitely get into later on. But Jerry, I think we should start off with the trade deadline recap because we ended last week's episode talking about how this episode is really just going to be, a good chunk of it is going to be about the trades that went down and stuff. So I have a list here of just some players that got moved to the teams and stuff like that. So if you're at home, follow along with me. If you're listening, follow along. Jerry, follow along. Okay, and we'll dive into them after I get list all of them. So the Dallas Mavericks made a trade for P.J. Washington and Daniel Gafford. P.J. Washington coming from Charlotte, Daniel coming from Washington. Grant Williams went from Dallas. Grant Williams and Seth Curry both go to Charlotte. There's something that we want to talk about there. I know you're a little excited there, Jerry. The Hornets are 2-0 after making these deals. So hey, Grant Williams, Seth Curry, those were the missing pieces. But we'll get into that in a minute. Buddy Hield gets sent off to Philly. There was a few moving pieces there. A few guys got released, whatever. But biggest piece, Buddy Hield went to Philly. Marcus Morris got bought out. They're saying that he's going to go to the Timberwolves. Not confirmed yet, but right now that's what it's looking like.
He just got a key to the city, too.
Yeah, he just got a key to the city, and now he's going to the cold weather with Karl Towns and Ant. But that we'll get into that. Royce O'Neal gets traded to Phoenix. Phoenix gets their another role player, gets another guy. Also, I believe they just signed from the buyout market Thaddeus Young as well, so another veteran player. Gordon Hayward gets traded from the Hornets to the OKC Thunder, which I definitely want to talk about a little bit too. Alec Burks, a lot of good things happened for you, Jerry, and the Charlotte Hornets in the last week, and I can't wait for you to go off on it. Alec Burks and Bojan Bogdanovic get sent to the New York Knicks, and I think that is I think that's one of the best trades that happened on this day. One of the best moves that any team made. Dennis Schroeder gets traded to the Nets. Pat Bev gets traded to the Milwaukee Bucks. His 31st team out of 30 teams in NBA history. He's just been everywhere. Jaden Springer and Xavier Tillman both get traded to Boston. Kelly Olynyk gets traded to Toronto. He's back in his home country, another Canadian. Yeah. And then not a trade, but he did get traded, but then he got bought out, and the Los Angeles Lakers signed Spencer Dinwiddie. Okay. Yeah. So I want to start from, not from the top, I want to start from excitement levels. So let's break down the Charlotte Hornets trades here, Jerry. So you send off P.J. Washington, but you get back Grant Williams and Seth Curry. You also send off Gordon Hayward. You were thrilled when I was saying these things. What's going through your mind? How are the Hornets looking? Do you think these trades benefit all teams involved? Talk to me.
Yeah, absolutely. I think when I say tears of joy, like when you were going through that list, it's really for both parties. I think when the Hornets signed P.J. Washington to that 4-year, $60 million deal over this past offseason, it was really one that, okay, this isn't a crazy contract, especially $60 million. That's
it's
nothing.
A very tradable contract.
Exactly.
Very
like
tradable.
That, mm-hmm. That is an asset that could be easily moved. And that's exactly what was going through my mind at the time of June, July, whenever he decided to stay. So, he ends up in a place where that could possibly be a dark horse contender. Like if you guys missed episode 25 last week, we talked about Dallas and how they look with Luka and Kyrie, Derek Lively. They add Gafford, they add PJ Washington. That's what's up. As for Gordon Hayward, that wasn't as bad of a contract as Nicholas Batum's in Charlotte history, because at least Gordon Hayward, when he played, the Hornets were placed at the 4 and 5 seeds respectively before his injuries kind of just blew up the whole situation in Charlotte. So I mean, it was a solid deal for OKC. Unfortunately, not. It was a solid deal for OKC to go get a veteran, especially for such a young team. I think everybody was penciling them into to grab a Lauri Markkanen or maybe even Andre Drummond to kind of bolster their front court a little bit. But hey, they got a veteran player that when he plays is very effective, and I'm excited to see what he does in a better situation. As for us, we get Vasai Micic, who is a pretty good veteran point guard who played overseas some. Really like his game after watching the first 2 games here in Charlotte. He looks really freaking good. And then obviously we get Seth Curry from Dallas. We get Grant Williams from Dallas, where both guys are Charlotte natives, which is awesome.
Yeah,
Grant
Seth
Williams
Curry wearing his dad's number 32, which is pretty cool.
It's really good, feel good like stories. And obviously being a fly on the wall, boots on the ground here in Charlotte, Steve Clifford is actually smiling after press conferences. Because even after winning games, he still doesn't look all that happy. But now it looks, you can just clearly tell there's more ball movement going on. Everything in terms of like energy on the bench looks better. These guys are just getting everybody else involved, and I think it's going to be great. Do I think we're going to make a run? No, not really. But at least I know there's some type of foundation that's laid down for these guys moving forward. And obviously, it's needed around your franchise guys and Brandon Miller and LaMelo Ball to have good veteran pieces. Seth Curry is a free agent at the end of the offseason, but hey, maybe they re-sign him. Grant Williams, it's going to be here a little while. So, cool to see.
So after the game last night, Grant Williams had 21 points off the bench. And he says, talking about playing with the Hornets, he goes, "It's great to get a win for the city and play for the jersey that's across your chest, not on your back. Everybody touched the ball. We trusted one another," kind of like how you were saying, more team basketball oriented. And I also want to kind of get into this report that came out after Grant Williams got traded, kind of talking about how this was a long time coming. They made this decision to deal him months ago because he was rubbing people the wrong way in the locker room, to the point where I guess he changed the shoes from Luka to Tatum, and I guess that just really pissed some people off. And I would like to get your 2 cents. I don't know how you feel about this, but I think that's kind of stupid. Like, I mean, I'm not like, who gives a fuck what shoes you're wearing? You know what I mean? Like, okay, like you're going from like your teammate to another player. Like, maybe like in a sense it could be like, oh, like that's kind of weird, but like not to the point where it's like, oh, we need to get this guy shipped out of here because he's wearing his best friend's shoes that are kind of fire. I just got myself a pair of Tatum's. They came in the mail yesterday, wore them to basketball yesterday, and they were comfortable as fuck. So I get why Grant Williams wears them. All white too, they're beautiful. So I mean, I don't blame him for fashion sense and comfortability. But yeah, I don't think wearing a certain pair of shoes should dictate where you play basketball. I don't know if that's just me, but I'd like, what do you think about that that reasoning?
I'm right there with you. I think it's utterly ridiculous to cite that as the main root of the problem.
That's so funny.
I'm sure there definitely had to be other things. It's like
he's probably annoying as fuck. Everyone in Boston was like, Grant Williams is annoying and stuff. Like, obviously messing around, but like he probably annoyed the shit out of some people.
I also think that in this system, compared to leaving Boston, not saying that it's not like the offense doesn't run to, the Jays and now Porzingis being included in that. But when Grant Williams was there, the ball definitely did stick to Jason and Jalen. Rightfully so.
Sure.
That's how it went. But there was a lot more ball movement from those guys in Boston compared to coming to a situation into Dallas where Luka is this quote-unquote black hole on offense, obviously. He's going to have the ball a lot. So maybe it's more so Grant Williams not feeling the fact that, oh, wow, Luka has to do everything and blah, blah, blah. Well, guess what? He's a superstar. This is what happens when some systems.
This is what happens when you
guys like that.
And then the other teammate, Kyrie Irving, not as much of a quote unquote black hole as Luka, but needs the ball in his hands a lot to be effective. So tough situation. I mean, tough situation.
That's still kind of even debatable too. Kyrie could play off the ball, but
he could much more than Luka. Much more than Luka.
Yeah. Heck yeah. In those times wherever Luka goes to the bench, obviously Kyrie looks around and looks at the talent pool like, huh.
It's like, all right, now's my time.
What am I supposed to do? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
Grant Williams, if that is the case, why Dallas did decide to send Grant Williams out of town, I think that is utter BS. Like, no
Yeah.
disrespect to PJ Washington. I watched him play here for years. Like, kind of watched him grow his game out a little bit, but Grant Williams is better than what PJ Washington is right now to this
I
like
mean,
date
the
and time.
numbers, since they've both been traded, Grant Williams' numbers have been a lot better. So small sample size, but still.
PJ Washington averages more points over his career because he played in Charlotte. You know,
Yeah, that's
let's
kind of,
just be real.
it's apples and oranges. You can't
Yes.
compare the two. But
Like,
moving on from the Hornets, like Hornets are 2-0 since they made these trades. So hey,
whoa,
we'll
whoa.
see.
Forgot about Trey Man. We forgot about Trey Man as well.
Oh, Trey Man,
Also,
Trey Man as well.
give it up
Yeah,
for Trey Man.
he had
Oh
a
well.
great first game. He had a really good first game for you guys. He had like 9 assists off the bench or something like that. Something
Nah,
along those
he's
lines.
actually starting. He started his first
Oh,
two
is he
games here.
starting? Oh, hell yeah. Love to see
It's
that. Good for him.
near triple double
Hey,
last night against the Pacers. Shut down the number one offense in the league. It's not bad.
things are
Not
looking
bad.
bright in Charlotte, Jerry. Things are looking bright.
I'm here for the future,
Um,
not the present.
yeah, hey, Rome wasn't built in a day, right? You
Indeed.
get Grant Williams, now you build off of it. All right, next team, Philadelphia 76ers. Not only did they trade for Buddy Hield, they got rid of Marcus Morris and Kormaz is his name. I always mispronounce his
Furkan
name.
Korkmaz.
Thank you. Yeah, sorry for mispronouncing that one. They get traded them away. Also, they signed Kyle Lowry, who was bought out. So they got two new additions.
Yeah, Charlotte's gonna miss him.
Another a veteran guard, a veteran guard for Maxi to kind of learn from, and then you bring in honestly one of the best shooters in the NBA, one of the best shooters since he's
Yep.
entered the league statistically, in Buddy Hield. Buddy Hield has had some pretty fucking incredible games for the Sixers. I'm pretty sure he's had 20 points in each of his 3 games with the Sixers. Obviously, no Embiid still, so the ball is moving around a little bit more. Guys are getting more shots, but Sixers bring in 2 guys that could definitely help them out, not only in the long run in the postseason run, but also in the short term with Embiid out. Bringing in more scoring with Hield, more veteran leadership with Lowry. If things kind of go south, you kind of have someone that can try to steer the ship and kind of keep everyone's morale high. Do you think this move is going to help the Sixers in the long run? Like Embiid comes back, do you think that this bolsters them up and makes them that much better, or is this just kind of like they made a few moves to get better, but it didn't make them that much better?
I think it's like slightly. You're going up like slightly, but I don't think it's enough to move the needle for me to be like, wow. Even when Joel comes back, they're beating Boston, they're beating Milwaukee, they're doing whatever.
Yeah.
They're still
Mm-hmm.
more so just in the middle of the pack, and maybe it was a little dick up. I did not mean to say that,
Yeah.
but maybe it was
I
a
was
little.
waiting for you. I was like waiting for you to finish your point there. I'm like, and
Maybe it was a little
yeah,
ditch up, like to
yeah, mm-hmm.
hike up like their backcourt. I mean, Kyle Lowry is a veteran guard, and it's a good feel good story because he went to Villanova, Philadelphia native, yada yada
Right.
yada.
But what is Kyle Lowry going to give you at what, 36, 37 years old?
And
The
I think
size of
that's the
earthquake whenever he steps on the court, it's not going to be much.
goodness.
You know,
But now, I
he's
mean,
not
it's
going to be offering much.
like you said, it's hopefully Tyrese Maxey doesn't adopt his body, but adopts the lessons that he gives him, and takes that stuff on and pretty much just takes it in like just be a sponge around that guy. He's an NBA
Yeah,
champion, arguably the
yeah.
greatest Raptor ever. Yeah, whatever. But Buddy Hield is the most interesting piece. But again, this is clearly a move for like this year because he's also on an expiring deal. So once Joel comes
Mm-hmm.
back, we'll see what type of spacing he's able to play off of with Joel. So
I
should
don't
be
know
fun.
if you saw this image, but it's all the contracts on the Sixers, and the only contract they have on the books for next year is Joel Embiid. Obviously, Maxey's going to get an extension. They're going to bring him back, but as of right now, the only person they have on the books is Embiid. So they have a lot of money to work with this offseason. I mean, who knows what the free agency class is going to look like, but they're going to have some stuff to work with this offseason. All right, moving on to another Atlantic Division team who I think probably was the biggest winner of this trade deadline is the New York Knicks, getting Alec Burks and Bojan Bogdanovic from the Pistons. They get a 20-plus point per game scorer, 2 guys that shoot over 40% from 3, adding to their rotation where they already got OG weeks ago. Jalen Brunson is having, I mean, he's having an MVP like season. He's definitely going to be like, he's definitely top 10 MVP consideration right now.
All NBA team guy for sure.
All NBA 100%. Should have been an all-star starter. I really like what the Knicks are doing, Jerry. I think the Knicks have really put together like just a really well-balanced, like 9-10 man deep rotation that guys can shoot, guys can play defense, guys are just going to work out there. They're going to give you 48 minutes of straight hustle. They're going to be a team that's going to give some teams fits in the playoffs for sure. Definitely a team that I would love to avoid in the playoffs because they're going to be miserable to go up against. But yeah, this is definitely my team that I think won this deadline. What are your thoughts on their moves, Jerry? How much do you think this makes them, go from here to here, or is it just like one of those Sixers things where it's like they're better, but how much better?
It's definitely like a step in the right direction. I mean, just think too, they won the deadline like whenever they traded for OG before the deadline even officially came.
They had the best. I think that was the best trade of the whole trade deadline period.
That's right. You remember we talked about it. Once Tom Thibodeau got his Luol Deng, his Jimmy Butler, and OG,
he got his
everything just kind of it took a step in the right direction. Shout out to Luol, man.
Everything, he was the glue. Everything kind of formed around that after,
And then you add in two guys that, like you said, shoot over 40%, but also could create their own shot, play well off the ball, where Julius Randle and Jalen Brunson are guys that could create for others. Plus,
Bogdanovich has been an underrated scorer for the last like 5-6 years. Like he's a guy that consistently can give you 20 a night.
Stop the presses. I don't know how we didn't start off this segment with just by saying, "Thank God they got out of Detroit."
Like, that's the win right there.
Yes.
Not only did the Knicks win, but those two. I mean, their asses out. Also, Evan Fournier won. I mean, it's the other way around. But he's out of New York. He wanted out of there for years.
Him saying like the viral interview that I saw from him, like, I'm just glad I got out of New York. You're saying that in the Pistons practice jersey, so it looks ridiculous.
You're in the Motor City.
You get to play.
So, that's true. But
good for you.
Yeah, it's true. It's a glass half full situation. Yes. But there's a lot of winners in this situation. The Knicks, the two guys getting their ass out of Detroit, and Fournier.
Plus, I think it's also like something we need to highlight here that Leon Rose only gave up a bevy of second round picks in every year.
He really didn't give up their stash. He didn't give up their stash. They still have a lot of valuable assets. Mm-hmm.
This is a really solid team that could compete for an NBA title this year, which it gives me, I think the last team to kind of do that with one star in particular was the 2011 Dallas Mavs, right? That won an NBA title. Obviously, Dirk, Hall of Famer, we know what he brought to the table, but that was the only true superstar. Jason Kidd over the hill, Sean Marion, a different player at that point in his career. Caron Butler didn't even play in the finals, but he was valuable during the regular season. They had a nice, well-balanced team. And when you look at the Knicks, you get the same kind of vibes where you go to the store and you want to buy the best consoles, but guess what? You can't get the PS5. You're going to get a Switch instead, buddy. But that Switch is still fire. It's still fire. You're good.
I mean, this team, man, I'm just going to list off the depth they have. Jalen Brunson, Julius Randle, OG, Dante DiVincenzo, who has been very good as of late. Alec Burks, Bojan Bogdanovic, Josh Hart, Mitchell Robinson, Malachi Flynn. They got a solid roster, dude. They have a really good roster. Filled scores, and then, like we mentioned, they didn't give up their stash of picks. This offseason comes around.
That's where I want to go.
Pick up a handful of guys. If I'm an NBA star that's, considering wanting out of their situation, New York is a good place right now. That is a really good place to be looking at.
Monitor Paul George's situation. He still hasn't signed an extension with the Clippers.
I'd be looking at Paul George. I'd be looking at Donovan Mitchell. I'd be looking at LeBron James. I'd be looking at Joel Embiid. There are a handful of guys. Karl-Anthony Towns might be another guy. I know he's on a 1 seed right now, but things could happen this offseason. The New York Knicks, if a star becomes available, the Knicks, this could be the offseason where they actually do get a star. this could actually happen, Knicks fans. So we'll see. But right now, they are equipped for a deep playoff run. That's for sure. All right, we'll go over a few more.
Bing
Pat
bong.
Beverly, Bing
My bad.
Bong.
Sorry.
Yeah, that
Gotta
I
get
do.
that
I
out.
do. I that is classic. That's a classic. Classic bit right there. Pat Bev goes to the Bucks again. I mentioned another team for Pat Bev, just another veteran on that Bucks team who is all over the place with Doc Rivers right now. I don't really want to get into that because that's just like a
Yeah. Yeah.
The Boston Celtics traded for Jaden Springer from the Sixers and then Xavier Tillman from the Grizzlies. They only gave up, I think they gave up 2 seconds for Xavier, 1 for him, and then 1 for Springer. Only gave up second round picks. Tillman might crack the rotation. Just another backup big for them. Just a gritty guy, though. Someone who I think will fit in well with Boston. And it's also nice having another backup. So Horford, you can give him some more nights of rest. Kristaps, you can sit him some nights and you have another backup. Springer, don't really know much about him. From what I've learned is that he's a gritty young guy, good defender, athlete. A lot of Sixers fans were actually pissed that they traded him. Daryl Morey came out and was like, yeah, we think a second round pick is more valuable at this moment in time. He's not close enough being on a playoff team. I mean, he's a cheap contract, young kid. You can control, team friendly deal. It's $1 million. So I whatever. I don't really have an opinion on it yet. Kelly Olynyk goes to Toronto, back in his home country, and add another Canadian to that team. So we're getting an all-Canadian team in Toronto.
RJ Barrett, Kelly. Wiggins is next, baby. Next year, 2 years, whatever.
I'm shocked he didn't get sent there too. And then last one we have here, Spencer Dinwiddie got bought out and went to the Lakers. So what do you think, Jerry? Is he going to be the one? Is he the one that will steer the shit back in the right direction?
I don't even really see it. Like,
hey, Darvin Ham said that he could be in closing lineups.
I don't care about 3-guard lineup.
D'Lo and Austin Reeves.
You have 3 guys that are not known for playing defense in a lineup.
And he wants all 3 in.
No. Stop.
D'Lo, Dinwiddie, Reeves, LeBron, and AD. That's a death lineup. That's a death lineup.
We're talking about a guy that wants to lose his job if that's going to be the closing lineup.
Do you know he gets a $1 bonus if they win the finals this year?
Yeah. He's probably getting the rest of crypto.
It's all crypto too. It's $1 crypto. It's not even a real. He's not even getting a George Washington. He's getting a coin.
It's ridiculous, man.
It's fucking.
I think Darvin Ham, if that's really going to be your closing lineups, test it out one game, see how that works out. When it utterly fails, you have to change it. If not, you'll be gone by the offseason. LeBron does not want you there at this point if that's the type of lineup you're putting out.
He will get Ham fired and then be like, actually, I'm going to also leave. So he'll kick him out of the door and then also leave as a spite right there.
If LeBron walks out the door, I won't even blame him. I can't.
At this point, the odds of something happening this offseason are increasing more and more.
I am prepared for mediocrity again if it has to.
I don't think it would get to that point, but I definitely think that things will be different if LeBron leaves this offseason. But hey, we don't have to talk about that now. There's no steam there, nothing. Don't worry. Let's move on. Do you have it? All right. Before we actually move on, who do you think won and lost trade deadline? So the biggest winner, biggest loser of the trade deadline. What do you have here? I said it already. I think that the Knicks won the trade deadline. Personally, I just think they got the best. Not the best guys, obviously, but best bang for your buck. Exactly. And losing the deadline, I'm gonna say probably the.
Yeah.
What did you think I was gonna say?
Well, I just feel like the Lakers is coming because they didn't do anything.
Well, I was gonna say like a team like the Lakers, even like the Suns. I know they did get Royce O'Neal, Thaddeus Young, but they really didn't get anything impactful. I think the losers are the teams like the Lakers, like the Suns, that probably needed that extra piece to convince people that hey, like they're gonna be legit. But I don't think neither team did it. Obviously, the Suns, it's different than the Lakers and whatnot. But I do think if the Suns did add like a Miles Bridges. I know there was like he didn't want to go, whatever. But if they added someone like him, that would have been like, okay, now they just got like a fourth legit guy. But
yeah.
So that's who I would say were the losers, those teams.
For sake of being different, I mean, I agree with you. I think the Knicks definitely did win it. Like, like I said, a month ago, whenever they traded for OG. But for the sake of being different, I'm gonna go with Gordon with OKC and the Gordon Hayward deal.
Yeah,
I really think playing in a younger situation where, like, obviously Charlotte's situation was young, but very, very injury prone out here in Charlotte, compared to playing in OKC with a guy like Shea and Chet, who are already pretty much bound to be bona fide stars. Shea already is, and then you got the Jalen Williamses. I'm missing names. Case and Wallace. Like the whole team looks really good. Then you just add a veteran in the locker room, a guy that's been an all-star. Made it to the playoffs one year. So, and then
that's really like the one thing that they really like don't have is veterans at all.
Yep.
Like it's just young guys. It's just an AAU team. That's all it is.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure the average age of the roster before the Hayward move, before they made any moves, it was like 24. So I mean, adding in Hayward automatically makes him the old head in the room, which he was here in Charlotte. Now you're just switching gears and you're going from, a losing situation to number one in the West damn near. So
two very different young teams.
In terms of the biggest loser, I might, instead of going with my Lakers, I think I might go to the Warriors. I know that we're about to get on them and we're about to
talk about them soon. Yeah. Another team that didn't do anything. Yeah.
I think them deciding to stay pat will end up biting them in the ass later. I don't even really care if they make it to the postseason this year.
Hey, they're confident that they have everything that they need.
and I'm not. They proved us wrong before, so like we'll have to just see it to believe it. But after them not making any moves, and I'm not fully confident that they could beat the Sacramento Kings or the OKC Thunder, the Timberwolves, the Clippers, the Nuggets, even in the Lakers if they play in the playing game.
They're not better than any of those. No.
I'm concerned about them.
I definitely do think the Warriors were definitely near the top of the list of teams that should have or needed to make a deadline move. And like I said, they're confident with what they have. But
we'll see.
Hey, good luck to them. Hey, they have 4 rings for a reason, right? They know how to win. So, but
Clay reminds us every chance he gets.
Clay reminds us every single time he hits 1 out of 10 threes that they got 4 of them. This episode is sponsored by BetterHelp. A close relationship that I am proudest of is the ones that I have with some of my best friends. With all the ups and downs that me and my friends have been through, we have always stayed close and loyal to each other. And with all the bad times, I feel like that's what makes our relationship stronger and makes us the best friends that we are today. A common misconception about relationships is that they have to be easy to be right. But that's not true at all. The best relationships are the ones where both parties put in the work to make it great. Oftentimes we have a hard time navigating tough moments, but that's perfectly fine. Good news is we have access to therapy as a safe space to work through the challenges we face in all our relationships. On and off the court, you might face pressures and challenges in your relationships with your teammates, coaches, and friends. You will likely be dealing with conflicts, expectations, and emotions that can affect your performance and well-being. Therapy can help you cope with these issues and improve your relationships. Trying out therapy can provide you with a safe space to express your feelings, thoughts, and concerns. Therapy can also help you develop skills and strategies to communicate effectively, resolve conflicts, and manage stress. If you're thinking of starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online, convenient, and very accessible. Become your own soulmate, whether you're looking for one or not. Visit BetterHelp.com/courtside today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/courtside. Now back to the episode. But moving on to the Warriors, segueing into the Warriors, they have won 5 straight games, 7 of their last 8. Moving them up to 10th in the Western Conference. So they are making movement here. Hey, it's a tight little race here. They're half a game behind the Lakers for 9, 4 games behind the Suns for the 6th seed. So they're not too far out, but they are getting closer. Steph in the last 8 games has averaged 31.5 points, 5.5 rebounds, and 5 assists. it's just kind of been Kuminga has been the clear number 2 option. He has accepted that role ever since he called out Steve Kerr. He's been, getting consistent 30 plus minutes a game in the starting rotation, getting the second most shots behind Steph, and he is the second best offensive option on that team at this point. It's not Clay, it's not Wiggins, it's definitely not Draymond, so it's got to be Kuminga. He's been playing very well, and also Klay Thompson. I don't know if you saw this quote from him. It came out yesterday, I believe, just talking about his situation and, him being open to accepting a reduced role. So this is what he said. He goes, "There's nothing wrong with that. I'll be 35 next year. At 35, coming off the ACL and an Achilles tear, and still have the ability to be a really good player. Maybe not the guy who scored 60 and 3/4 and scored an NBA record 37 points in a quarter, but still a great threat out there. I've modeled my game after Reggie and Ray, and those guys were incredibly effective until their late 30s. So I plan on kind of following that mold." Yeah, he definitely ain't what he used to be. And I think that's kind of like what we've all come to terms with. And
2 years ago,
just, yeah, dude, it's like, you're right. When you tear both your ACLs and you're at this point in your career, like, yeah, it's tough. It's tough to come back from that. So I'm happy that it's nice to hear him say that would be accepting a reduced role, because like, I know, I'm not speaking. I know that I'm speaking for other people too, but like, it would have sucked to see Klay Thompson leave Golden State and, maybe retire somewhere else or something like that, because like, it would be cool seeing the big three kind of starting in Golden State and finishing Golden State. So it would have been tough kind of seeing like one of the guys that was one of the biggest parts of the dynasty, leaving because of this or that reason. So it would be nice to see him stay in Golden State, finish his career there. But if that were to happen, things have to change, roles have to change and stuff. He can't be that starting, that starter that he once was, where he can give you 30, 40 minutes, whatever. So hopefully this means that, he'll they'll work out money this off season, so he'll stick around, reduced role. But yeah, that also plays a part into, why they've been playing well as well. Roles have been kind of mixing around on that team. They're kind of figuring it out right now. So do you think, I know we kind of said it in the last segment, but do you think the Warriors have a shot here, or is this just kind of like, they're good right now, but at the end of the day, this is just, they're on a little run. That's nothing more.
Yeah. It's the regular season. Things happen where the Charlotte Hornets won 2 games for the first time since November.
The Pistons won 2 straight games last month too. So
I'm not trying to compare. Obviously, we're not comparing those teams to the Warriors. They're not that bad.
Right. But in the NBA, things happen. Streaks happen. Yeah.
You catch lightning in a bottle. You win 5 out of your last 7 games. Congrats. The Warriors still have a chance to actually make the postseason. I do think that could be in the cards. But it's really on the fence, because there's a lot of really good teams out west. And I'll never doubt the greatness of Steph Curry or the greatness of Draymond Green or Klay Thompson. Like, I'm glad Klay Thompson is great enough to realize that he's not the same player, that he can't really move and guard these like quick point guards anymore. And he has to transition to guard 3s and 4s. I'm glad he was able to come to that realization. Every great Hall of Famer does, especially if you're not a freak athlete or a bona fide number 1 option on your team like a LeBron or a Kobe, or hell, look at Steph. I'm glad that these guys, like a guy like Klay Thompson, was able to finally come to realization of that. But I still don't think the Warriors are going to be good enough, like I said in the last segment, to contend with a lot of these better teams out west, a lot of these younger teams out west. Look at the top.
There's just too much talent in the West.
Yeah, like even if they do make it, let's say they get to the AFC, they beat the Lakers in the play-in and whoever else is towards the bottom, they make it. Hey, great, you're playing the Clippers in the first round, or you're playing the Thunder
or the Nuggets, or the Thunder, or the Wolves. Yeah,
and it's like, that's awesome. Like, I won't bet against Steph Curry having a big series, but I can see Steph dropping 40 a night. Yeah,
it's everyone else that you have to worry about.
I can't. It's hard for me to find that much optimism. In 2022, when they were going on a run, I didn't count them out. I was still kind of high on them at that time when they won their last title. But this year, or even last year, they're not flowing the same way.
Yeah, like you said, it's like you can count on Steph. You know what he's going to give you, but what's Wiggins going to give you? What's Clay going to give you? What's Kuminga going to give you? You have no
I
clue.
don't know.
You have no clue. So, yeah, it's no guarantee. I mean, again, can't count out the Warriors. I mean, they've won it 4 times. They know what it takes. But on paper, not great. Not great. Also, Chris Paul is still hurt. What's he going to give us when he comes back?
It's a magical
We'll wait and
franchise.
see.
You know, they
It is.
won 4
It
rings in
is.
8 years or whatever it was. I
Mm-hmm.
don't want to be the guy to say, "Hey, the cliff is here," but this isn't football
All right,
where I feel
Max.
like 11 exactly, right? There isn't 11 guys on the field that really contribute as much to winning or blah blah blah. It's more of a system of parts. On a
Yeah.
basketball court, there's 5 guys, and I need to see what each guy brings to the table and what one guy you're taking out, the guy that you're putting in, how effective could he be in this new lineup, in this new rotation?
Yeah.
I'm not confident. It's done. This dynasty was great. Best of our generation.
It was a good one.
I'm done. I'm cool.
Might be
it's over.
the door may be closed, but we'll see. We'll see. Plenty of time left this season. Things can turn around
Absolutely.
or get worse. We'll see. All right. So last topic we have here, and this is the most recent thing that has happened in the NBA world. Victor Wembanyama records a triple-double with blocks. So last night against, I believe it was the Toronto Raptors, I believe they played. Yep. So he, against the Raptors, he put up 27 points, 14 boards, 10 blocks, 5 assists, 2 steals on 71% shooting. And they destroyed the Raptors. Man, we kind of talked about this a little bit before. It's unbelievable what you can do when you're 7 foot whatever. You know what I mean? Like he just is so fucking talented in the fact that he can do what he does in such a big frame. And I hate to be that guy because I know like there's so many like even casuals that are saying this like, oh, he can go down as the best. He's gonna be the best, whatever. And I don't want to like fall into that narrative, and it's more 50 games into his first like season, but like man, like genuinely, if he doesn't get hurt like in his career, like doesn't suffer any severe injuries, is able to have a clean bill of health from the start of his career to the end of it, it's hard for me to imagine that he doesn't go down as like one of the greatest to like step on that floor, because like he's doing things that we haven't seen in 30-40 years. He's going to break so many rookie records. He's going to break so many records in general. I mean, just a few. I mean, we have a few like interesting stats pulled up, but like one of the craziest things I saw weeks ago is that like 30 games, 40 games into the season, he has better defensive numbers than what Rudy Gobert had when he won Defensive Player of the Year. Like that's absurd. And it's like, it's incredible because you can't teach height. You can't teach shit that he does. And it's like incredible how he's able to put it all together, how he's able to be so dominant. And it's like we see performances like this. It's like, this is incredible. We're going to see this many more times from him. Like this is going to be the first of many times we see him doing something like this. So it's incredible to be able to watch this, to be able to, just follow this guy's career, and to continue following his career. But man, he's special. He is incredible, bro. I really don't have any like better things to say about him.
Yeah, I mean this is exactly what was advertised to us 2 years ago, before he was even on the draft radar, before he was even throwing his hat into the draft.
Yep.
This, like I say this all the time, like there's 2 things I know about basketball. One, it's very situational. Where you end up kind of dictates how your career goes
100%.
most of the time. Secondly, this is definitely a tall man's game. If you're not 6'8" and up, the way you impact winning has to be very different from a guy like, let me say 6'6", because MJ is 6'6" and Kobe was 6'6", whatever. But a guy like how they could dominate a game compared to a 6'2" guy is way different. And then when it's a 7'5" or 7'4", whatever he is, and he also can dribble like a guard, and he can move like Giannis up and down the floor. There's nothing that he won't be able to do in his NBA career. Step back threes, you got it. Posterized and dunks, easy. Like This guy is literally the phenom, where I understand why not just casuals, but even pro analysts, pro journalists, guys that's been doing this job for 40 plus years, like Mark J. Spears or Zach Lowe or whoever. They believe that Victor Wembanyama has the potential to be the greatest of all time because he can do things like this on any given night. I mean, it's just what it is. Being 7'4".
Yeah, dude. I mean, I was just looking at his stats right here and stuff, and I didn't mention like he had that triple double in less than 30 minutes. He's playing 28 minutes a game this season. And he's averaging over 20 points, over 10 rebounds, over three assists, excuse me, over 1.1 steals and 3.2 blocks a game. He leads the Spurs in every major stat except for assists.
Like, just think about it. This
he's
is a guy
19
that
right now and putting up these numbers. You know what I mean?
No, for real. Like, we can
he's
see
not
him
going to
win
hit his prime for another 8 years. You know,
and he can win multiple DPOYs before then. Like this is the kind of specimen
he might break the record for most Defensive Player of the Year awards. Like the record's 4.
Absolutely.
Like he might be Defensive Player of the Year this year.
Once we actually see his team like perform better in the defense numbers,
that's the biggest thing. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's what's going to help. That's when we're going to see.
He won't get like those consideration. Like obviously Rookie of the Year. I think I love Chet at this point. It's a lock for him, right? He could have just played his last game and he's winning the award. It really comes down to
game rule.
That's true. You're right. If this was last year, he would have had it locked up. He still has to play some more games, but at this point, if it goes the way it's going, he has it locked up. It comes down to like how the Spurs kind of build now, because he'll get the Rookie of the Year, but he won't get that Defensive Player of the Year consideration, or at least that like number one guy until the Spurs record kind of backs him up a little bit.
You know, the stat nerds need to see, your team's defensive efficiency rating is only blah, 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 or it's 20th in the league. Like, you know how the stat nerds are. Yeah. So, like, we need to see defensive win shares go up, defensive efficiency rating as a team go up. Right. Anything statistical that actually improves his case is what happens. Because he has the raw numbers with the blocks and steals. Now we just need to hold teams to under a certain amount of points, all that good stuff, defensive rebounds, how like time of possession for the opposing team, all those things.
The reasons Gobert got Defensive Player of the Year.
Yeah,
really.
That was like Quinn Snyder had a good, well-oiled defensive machine with Royce O'Neal. Michael Conley were the head of the Snakes. They funneled everybody into the big guy. Like it made sense.
Yeah, 100%. So going into, I guess the next question is like, we're talking about the Spurs need to make that next step, improving themselves. What do you think we do now? So obviously deadline is gone. They weren't really going to do anything at the deadline anyways. They obviously know what they have in Victor Wembanyama. They have, a good batch of guys, Devin Vassell, Keldon Johnson, Zach Collins, Jeremy, I always mispronounce his name too. Sohan, I always pronounce it wrong. Trey Jones. They have solid young pieces and stuff. Yeah. Is this a team that goes out and makes a trade? Is this a team that saves up their money and hopes to attract a free agent? I know kind of there's some rumors that have been going around about Trae Young and how he might be available this offseason now. They didn't trade DeJounte Murray at the deadline. There's a rumor that they might be more willing to give up Trae Young this offseason. The Spurs might be at the near top of his list. I've said before, Trae Young and Victor would be a dangerous combination together. But what do you think the Spurs need to do next? Do they need to go after a star player, an all-star level player, or do they just need to kind of keep building what they have, like the culture, these young guys, and kind of, go like a Thunder route or a Warriors route or something like that?
Culture is fun and all, but I kind of think they need to start winning games.
When you have a player with Wembanyama, he is the culture. As long as you have him,
you're going to be okay.
Yeah, 100%. Mm-hmm.
Like, look at what happened with let's compare it to the guy he's being compared to in terms of generational impact, right? Look at LeBron's situation. When he came into the league in 03, 04, there was no help. LeBron instantly became Larry Hughes, Ricky Davis, and those guys. Ira Newble. This is a guy, as soon as LeBron came in, wow, I'm the best player on the team. And I realized that probably by November. Yeah. Wemby we knew coming in, he's
Realized on
probably
draft
already.
night.
Yeah, on draft night, I got Keldon Johnson, I got Jeremy Sohan, I got Trey Jones. I don't mean any disrespect when I say this,
Yeah,
but
no
they're
disrespect whatsoever.
kind of like a ragtag group of young guys that are still trying to also find their way in the league. They're good players, but they're not quite molded into what they probably should be at this point in time. So, in order to avoid a LeBron situation where you give 7 years of everything, make it to the finals one year like how he did, lost to the Spurs obviously in a sweeping fashion, which he had no chance to win
No
that
shot.
series at all.
No.
But
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I don't want to see Wemby in a situation where he gets upset, where like, wow, I put in 7, 8 years of time, and what do I have to show for it? Who did you bring in? Like
Right.
that was the crossroads that LeBron was at. Why he went to Miami? Because no star player or no type of like actually elite talent was brought in to play with him. So, I know RC Buford and those guys in San Antonio should know by now, like how to put together a contender. I mean, hell, they got 5 chips to their name. So go out and go get a
Yeah.
Trae Young. And Trae Young will probably bring in even more guys with him as the years
100%.
progress.
I think it's a little different too, because like you look at a place like Cleveland, it's like you had LeBron there and stuff, but it's like it's not an attractive market, right? And San Antonio isn't the most attractive market either, but at least they have the history there. Like Cleveland didn't have shit before LeBron. You know what I mean?
You got Pop.
You have some leverage. Yeah, I think the Spurs have some leverage. I think they're going to be in a good situation where not only will stars want to sign with them maybe in free agency, but you'll have stars that are willing to want to get traded there as well. And I think that they have the pieces, they have the tools, they have the right coach. Like they have everything they need to turn this team into another dynasty. But we just have to kind of see how the pieces of the puzzle form as time goes on.
Especially with just you mentioned, like obviously the markets are pretty similar in terms of size, what they brought.
Yeah.
But I am super concerned about what Star actually does. I get the culture is there. I get Pop, Wemby. Those are generational guys in their own right. But if I am a superstar talent player, if I am Donovan Mitchell or Paul George, like we mentioned already, why am I going to want to go play over there, especially if the rest of the roster might not be built out? And it's not one of those sexier names on the market. It's not a New York. It's not a Miami. It's not a LA. Like it really has to be strictly a basketball decision. And nowadays, players have business ventures that they care about. What can I do out in San Antonio to grow my money?
San Antonio isn't the worst spot. It's not terrible. Hey, it ain't Charlotte. I'm kidding.
Hey. We're not a bad market. Okay, we're not a bad market. That's like the desert out in San Antonio.
Yeah, no, I know what you mean. Yeah. If you're going to San Antonio, you're going there because of Victor Wembanyama, and you can probably win some rings. Not because you're going there for the nightlife or investments. So, yeah. No, that's fair. That's more than fair. Yeah, I mean, again, when you have someone like Victor Wembanyama, you have someone like Greg Popovich, that helps out a little bit. So I'm curious to see how they kind of construct their roster as time goes on. But that's all we have for topics. Jerry, do you have anything else you want to add in before we sign off here and start playing some games?
All I could really say, man, is I told y'all so. I hope y'all listened to me last week about them Chiefs. But outside of that, shout out to Pat Mahomes for sure. But
shout out to them. They won me some money, so I can't.
Absolutely same. But basketball season is like in full effect in my mind now. Now I can finally get rid of all this football stuff in my head, and like, I'll see the combine soon and some of these other off-season moves, like cool, but that's not the priority anymore. Now that like we're fully on basketball, we're fully engaged, that means college, March Madness is coming up. Like, hell, the women are in a FIBA basketball tournament now. So like there's a lot.
March Madness is coming up next month too. Coming up very quick. I can't wait. Yeah, man. Shout out to the Chiefs for winning me money. I'm at a point in my life. I'm at a point in my life where I'm not comparing, but it's kind of similar to like I would never bet against Brady when he was playing. I'm never betting against Mahomes. I've just learned my lesson. But man, oh man, does it make me sick to my stomach seeing this disgusting narrative going on Twitter and all this stuff about Mahomes being the GOAT. Listen, I'm gonna tell you this as a New England Patriots fan of my whole life. when it comes to stuff like this, I'm able to detach myself as a fan and not being biased. Brady beat Mahomes twice in the AFC Championship and in the Super Bowl. Brady has 7 championships. Mahomes has 3. Mahomes is on pace. He is on track to match Brady and to even break some of these records. But until he does that, he is not better than Tom Brady. Tom Brady has been out of the league for 1 year, and now all these former player analysts are like, this is the best guy I've ever seen. I've never seen anyone step on a field and do the things that Mahomes does. 2 years ago, he was losing to Brady. So what the fuck are you talking about? It's all these guys I've lost to Brady in the past. Ryan Clark hates Brady. He was the first guy to come out and say, this is the best player I've ever seen in my life. Ryan Clark, fucking get a grip, dude. Like, literally, like, get a grip. Like, you are lying through your teeth. You're petty. Like, that's the stuff I hate. That's the stuff I hate.
Okay, just time out. Because I could say that I do agree with the take that he is more talented than anybody we've ever seen at the position. But just because you're more talented doesn't mean that you're more accomplished.
It's the whole better, and it's the better part. The talent thing. Listen, we can get into a debate about Aaron Rodgers being more talented than Brady, and I could entertain that for sure. But I'm just talking about just field presence on the field, best ever, hands down. It's Brady. Not yet. It's Mahomes can get there. And I do believe that now that they've won a third one, there's a discussion for like the whole dynasty thing, it being up to par with the Patriots. That's fair. But this whole GOAT conversation,
he's not.
It's going to keep happening. It's not there, but this is LeBron and Jordan. This is LeBron and Jordan of football, and this is going to happen forever. It's not going to end. So,
and you know what? I get it. I get you. I hear you. I agree with you. He is not better than Brady at this particular point in time. But if he continues to win, if he wins 4 more Super Bowls, and you know what happened to Brady, there was a large gap of like 10 years where they weren't winning anything.
There was.
And it's like out of nowhere.
It's like 2 different dynasties, really, within 20 years. Really, is what it was.
Exactly.
So like, when they get to that point, I would love to sit down at that table, tuck the napkin in my shirt, get my food right. I'd love to sit down, have a hot plate, and talk about that. But for right now, we're not there, so we're not going to.
Oh yeah, he's up on the wall for a reason, you know. Like that's the guy right there. Yeah, that's the guy. Mm-hmm. He's back there. I mean, that's the GOAT. Brady's the GOAT, man.
He's the GOAT.
He's not. Patrick Mahomes doesn't.
No disrespect to Mahomes.
No.
He's amazing. Mahomes is amazing. Like, there's no discrediting him. I think he's already a top tier quarterback of all time, like for sure. But just
he's top 5, top 10 already.
He's top. I think he's top 5 at the minimum. He's top 5. But anyway, okay. Sitting courtside basketball. We'll be back next week. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you're watching on YouTube, please make sure to like, subscribe, comment below. Just whatever. Name a player that wore 26. If you disagree, agree with us, put in who you think won and lost the trade deadline. If you're listening on audio platforms. Yeah, tell us you love us, or tell us you hate us. Don't do that, but tell us you love us. If you're on audio, give us a review. All that good stuff helps us out a ton. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. Check out our shorts on YouTube as well for the gamified content and all that good stuff. We'll be back next week for episode 27, the big 27. And
where's 27?
Yeah, I can't. Chris Move. Shout out Chris Move.
Who?
You know who Chris Move is?
I do.
You don't know who Chris Move is? Oh my God. I was gonna say, like, what? Did you not like watch? Like, do you not have a childhood growing up? Did you not watch NBA YouTube growing up? That's the man. That's the GOAT. But yeah, shout out to Chris Move. We'll be back here next week. Take it easy. Have a good week, guys. Peace.